Hello friends, Sammy Graham doing TCGs yet again. So we've got Universus. So I've opened the Critical Role stuff for Universus. The Vox Machina and Mighty 9 decks. Opened a couple extra Vox Machina ones to look at some of the collector packs, that kind of jazz. But I still haven't played a game yet. Why, you might ask? Does there appear to be a different new Universus product on your desk then? Well, simple answer shall be obvious in mere moments, because it is a simple answer. We got a display of a new Universus product. When I saw that we had Star Trek Lower Decks Universus challenge decks coming out, those were mandatory. So here we are. We've got Universus decks. So I'm just going to open these. Again, I don't have a whole lot of clue how the game itself actually works still, having not played it. But I got a buddy of mine these decks as well, being a big Lower Decks fan and an occasional dabbler in games. So, before too long, I should have the opportunity to give the game a whirl and get a feel for what's actually going on with it. So same kind of thing. We've got collector packs again. 6 alt art or foil cards for each one of these. It comes with a little Challenger Series booklet. Talks about the collector booster. 1 rare or higher, 2 uncommons, 3 commons. Very nice. And then it goes through a gallery and checklist for all the cards. So, I'm not going to go through all that with y'all, but we do at least want to look at the cards. So, Lower Decks, for those who aren't familiar, there was actually an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation back in the 90s. One of the best episodes of the show, frankly, that was called... Oh, this is cool, too. I didn't know it came with a thicker transporting beam me up version of the main character, too. That's actually pretty neat. Okay. All right, that's a neat bonus. Anyway, there was an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called Lower Decks that was one of the best episodes of the show. It had all the main characters in it still, but they were almost all the main characters, the main bridge crew, the command staff, the whole thing, were basically side characters. And it was dealing with a group of ensigns dealing with, having to deal with Riker and Worf and their bosses, and 2 of them going for the same promotion, and all kinds of nonsense going on. It was a great episode. It had a bit of a twist ending. Okay. Oh, these look really good. I thought the Critical Role ones looked really good, but these also look pretty fantastic. So Rutherford is the engineer of this group. Anyway, so I'll finish talking before I look through these cards a little bit more. No. Since I don't really know what the cards are, I'll comment as things go. Badgie. Sort of a clippy send-up that Rutherford created that went evil. The Cerritos, their ship. Again, so that episode was really good. Everybody thought well of it. So, I still love the card stock for Universus is some of the best, the sturdiest feeling card stock I've dealt with. I really, really, really like their card stock. I'm a big fan there. Anyway, so Star Trek Cyborg slap. The Next Generation did their whole deal with that. And fast forward 20-something years, because Lower Decks is about to finish its 5th and final season now. So 26 years, I think it was the last season of Next Generation. They were like, hey, let's do a comedy, a whole show, using that same base premise, but it's goofy. It's unhinged. Like, there's been more of the bridge crew as time has gone on. But it's like, I've never watched Rick and Morty, but the explanation I have been given is that it's like Star Trek via Rick and Morty. So it's kind of unhinged humor. You could think of it as maybe Futurama-ish, not quite like Family Guy level of ridiculous, but that style of adult comedy humor, but also very, very Star Trek. Like, they deal with all kinds of excellent stuff. So Rutherford, he's the engineer of the crew. The very positive "okie dokie" is his catchphrase. And I got to meet a bunch of the. I say a bunch. I got to meet the guy who plays Rutherford, and we haven't gotten to her deck yet. But Beckett Mariner is one of the other main characters. I got to meet them at that Star Trek convention a couple months ago, so that was neat. So Boimler. It started off that Boimler was kind of if there was a lead, it was Boimler. But it's definitely drifted more and more, acting captain, there you go. More and more, they share the lead here and there, like individual episodes. These are cool. Okay. Cerritos is in all of them. That makes sense. More and more appearances, each individual person, and they introduced a fifth character that kind of was a side character, but is basically part of the group now. But so Rutherford was the engineer, the super positive. He's got his little cyborg implant. There was a lot of question about if he, and also haven't met her yet, Tendi, had a yes, no, maybe relationship kind of situation going on. And then, there would be things like his memory was in his twains. Okay, we'll come back to this. His memory was erased and he had to rebuild it and get his memory back and all this kind of stuff. There was an episode where Boimler and Rutherford, their solution for the way they solved a problem after becoming roommates, they got promoted to lieutenant junior grade. Spoiler, sorry. I should have said that first, but it was last season. You're fine. And so they were having to deal with being roommates instead of just everybody being in a bunk area, basically. And they had a situation that they had to solve by resorting to being Mark Twain. They didn't realize, though, they both thought the other one was going to be somebody else. So they just made things worse by both being Mark Twain until they solved it. You can't do the Twain voice long until you get figured out. The Western voice, I guess. Now, the mistake they made was trying to use that on an actual diplomatic situation. Didn't go super well. But, moving on. If there was a second primary lead of the show, and the person who has gotten the most lead aside from Boimler, it is Beckett Mariner. You find out super quick she's the captain's daughter. She's chaotic. She's older than the rest of them by a pretty decent chunk, but has had issues and tries to keep getting demoted back down to ensign so she won't actually get responsibility. She just likes to have a good time. She goes and be an adventuring archaeologist for a minute. There's the Cerritos again. So the other thing about she and the first officer don't always get along. The cat doctor swears a lot. It's pretty funny. But it's bleeped out, which almost makes it funnier. Let's see who else we got. So the Cerritos and its entire class of ship, the California class, they are second contact specialists. So there's a Star Trek movie, First Contact, that was talking about the first time humans met aliens that they knew about. Multiple times throughout Star Trek, there are references to First Contact. They're having to do the diplomatic stuff. Moopsy, my favorite! Moopsy is what it says. And this thing eats your bones. It looks adorable, but this is one of the most terrifying, dreadful creatures known. That's the kind of goofy stuff you get. It just waddles along, and it's fantastic. Love it. Love Moopsy. But so yeah, First Contact is meeting everybody, making sure everything goes good, learning about the alien races, letting them know what's going on in your world, teaching them about the Federation, and then that gets all the glory. And then the Second Contact, the California class, and her come in to do Second Contact, which is all the annoying paperwork, the actual getting them the stuff that you talked about, all the goofy nonsense like that. So that's another thing that makes the show kind of funny, is that these are the ship itself is like the lower decks of Starfleet. Nobody takes them seriously, because all they're doing is picking up the pieces and carrying on from what the important ships like the Enterprise already did. So it gets pretty funny. Last deck, our last main character is probably the youngest of the crew, Devana Tendi, who's an Orion, who's the stereotype for the Orions is that they're all super energetic in a certain way, but also usually pirates. She doesn't like that stereotype. It's not 100% true. So you're dealing with her having to deal with those stereotypes and also maybe prove that they're not completely true, but also realize for herself that there's more truth to it than she wants to admit. This is when she's in full pirate mode, Mistress of the Winter Constellations. She's kind of a big deal, it turns out. She is a science officer, but she also helps out in the sickbay quite a bit. She's another, like Rutherford, super positive, super high-pitched, I love it kind of character. But also, when she gets into a situation, she can have a Black Ops throwdown. That's one of the things. She's trained to be super stereotypically Orion. There's our other character that gets added, Talin of Vulcan. So her having to deal with the fact that she is ridiculously well-trained, combatant, pirate, all that stuff, but also really and truly just wants to get down and do science stuff. It makes all the characters interesting, the different things they've going on. Boimler wants to be a captain. He wants to be in charge one day, but captains take risk, and he is very much the rule follower by the book. So that juxtaposition. Tendi with her, I want to do science stuff, but I'm also really, really, apologies, badass. And, Rutherford, super positive, super technical, not the greatest with people skills all the time, can have his stuff get forgotten, all kinds of stuff like that. And then Mariner, who is extremely competent, a solid officer, but just does not want that responsibility. So she keeps on messing things up on purpose, to get herself able to still do stuff, make a difference, be Starfleet, but also not get promoted and actually have real stuff she's expected. All right, we're doing the collector packs now. The decks looked great. So we got a shiny special assignment, liberating headbutt, attention to detail. Ooh, That's pretty neat. I was just thinking that I didn't get for now this isn't one of the main characters, so I don't know if it's actually like one of the super sought after ones, but I didn't get any of the main characters, the alt art main characters in the Critical Role ones. Black Ops Throwdown. So getting a Rutherford, that Devron Racer, that's his secondary card that was in there. That's pretty cool. Okay. That needs a sleeve, I feel like. I may be wrong. It may not be that big of a deal, but that looks an awful lot like it needs a sleeve. But yeah, these collector packs are just a neat thing. So there's nothing, I mean, alternate arts and stuff in them that you don't get in the decks. But the cards themselves, there aren't any like mechanically unique cards in the deck. So that's my alt art rare here. Is a Rules Stickler Boimler. So this is, I'll probably end up having to do the same thing with this as I did with the Critical Role. I'll probably have to order another set of decks at some point to fill out like a play set of all the cards, but then also hunt some more of the collector packs. Secret Pass, that's a cool card. There's our alt art. Inconvenient Duplication. Look, there are 2 Boimlers there, and that's Captain William Riker. So you do off and on here and there get the occasional guest visit from like one of the big name characters from the Next Generation or something like that, along with a lot of cameos from people that only had essentially cameos in the Next Generation. So it's a pretty fun show from all that perspective too. Ooh, I think that says ultra rare com badge. That's pretty sweet. Okay, well that was a fun set of collector packs. Getting that Rutherford's pretty great, but the com badge looks pretty sweet too. I'll have to check these out. And one of these days, I'm going to sit down and actually play this dang game. I love these Beam Me Up holographic cards, too. Well, this is the second thing that this game has put out that I'm like, well, I have to have that. So at some point, I'm going to have to sit down and play it. Especially now that there's a full like Critical Role set coming around the corner. If they do a full booster set of this, too, I'm going to have a problem. But that's where we are for right now. I wanted to take a look at this, got it in, and was super excited. So I hope you had a good time looking at this too. Getting my Star Trek and particularly Lower Decks history lesson, that was free. You just got that as a happy bonus to the cards. Go figure. How about that? But I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I had a fun time cracking this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for spending some of it with me. Bye, y'all.